Subscribe, like, comment and share to support the channel. Thank you for the support.
The dark elf lady approaches our boy and hugs him, introducing herself as Ashley. She questions Daisuke on whether he was willing to participate with her in the Coliseum matches and that it wasn't a bad deal for the both of them, but our boy seems to be faltering as he hesitates to answer her right away. This was when Lena appears out of the blue from finishing her shower. Her face was stunned upon seeing our boy rizzing another lady right in front of her. She looks at Daisuke and asks him about who that lady was. He then tells her that Ashley was the one responsible for stealing her purse. Ashley shows no remorse at all for her actions and just calmly introduces herself to Lena as well. While Lena was startled to learn this new type of news, she immediately rushes towards Ashley, telling her to immediately return her purse, but Ashley tells her to chill for a moment. She takes out the purse and tosses it into the air lightly, telling Lena that the amount of money inside this purse was just spare change for her, because she now has a way to get even more of this. Hearing this info made Lena curious about what she meant. As she explained to her, Lena was shocked to learn that she wanted to enter the Coliseum with Daisuke, but Ashley tells her that as long as Daisuke using the spell that he had used against the thug from before back then everything would work out fine. She informs them that the Coliseum was a free-for-all battle royale where tens of people who got real skills were fighting against each other, and the last one who still stands will win the grand prize of 100 gold coins. But Ashley points out that there was actually a problem with that, and reveals that the winner must face the boss of the Coliseum called Dorgon. It was revealed that Dorgon was a man who possesses immense strength and he never loses, not even once, since the first challenge battle was held. But Ashley was positive that if they managed to get by that guy, then the 100 gold coins was theirs for the taking. As soon as Ashley's explanation about the Coliseum ended, Lena warns Daisuke to not be swayed by her words. She tells him that participating in the Coliseum was very dangerous. She knew that some of the participants were actually locals who were forced to partake in the battle, and that the town's Lord Hildert was actually sending a few of the locals to make up the numbers. She also knew that if you wanted to get out, then you would have to pay 50 gold coins, but to gather that amount of money was no easy feat. Ashley cuts in to tell them that it doesn't matter. She knew that the both of them were outsiders, so there was no way that will happen, as they will just go there for a minute and win, that's it. But Lena shouts that what she said wasn't what she meant. Ashley then turns to Daisuke to ask him if he would come with her, but our boy doesn't fall for the ladies that easily. He rejects her request and stated that he couldn't exactly trust her because it seems to him that she was hiding something important from them. He continues to tell her that in the line of business, he had his fair share of dealing with someone who held back the truth from him. Having worked so many years as a salaryman, Daisuke has been able to discern that just by looking into someone's eyes. Hearing the rejection made Ashley question if it's a no. No matter what, she begins to back away from them, telling the both of them that it was a shame as she had sensed something special from Daisuke. Ashley started to leap backwards, thinking that she was hitting on something big, but Lena shouts at her to return her purse back, but it was too late as Ashley hops away using the trees. As she leapt from the trees, her mind was filled with the amount of gold coins she needed, which was 45. Daisuke then takes a look at his watch and exclaimed out loud that it was already time for work and told Lena that he needed to go back for the time being. He quickly enters the portal and returns back to Japan, where he sees that it was already 7:30 a.m. Back at the restaurant, Lena places down a plate of food as the owner tells her a story about the Coliseum. She tells Lena that back then, right after the fall of Ferdia Kingdom, the governing lord changed and it became a hideous affair. Back when the battle challenge was first held, there was no one like those suckers from yesterday. But the owner wonders who was going to make Hildert speechless by defeating Dorgon again. Lena was curious by what she meant with speechless, while the patrons of the restaurants were oozing over how cute Lena was. We then turned to Hildert's castle, which was located on a cliff that oversees the city. Dorgon was seen Hulk smashing everything that stood in his path. He continues his rampage, destroying all the pillars that surrounded him. A group of men were keeping a close eye on him when Lord Hildert appears and questions them on how Dorgon was going. The men reported to him that Dorgon was in peak condition and that there were no signs of rejection from the regeneration magic. Lord Hildert was impressed as he expected this from the berserker. He noted that as long as he has his spells, then he could make a warrior like Dorgon bend to his will with ease. The men were glad to hear that, as Hildert explains to them that from the time of immemorial, people have longed for the sight of brutal fights, which was the very reason they gather here at the Coliseum. He exclaims out loud that humans feel the greatest pleasure when they fight and that it was truly the greatest venue to make profits. He soon places his hand inside a bag filled with papers, telling his men that it was time for the raffles. He throws the paper around his men and orders them to gather the people for the Coliseum's match. A portal appears in the restaurant where Daisuke steps out from. He notices that something was off as he turns to the side. He could see that the owner was yelling at the guards that were in her restaurant. She shouts at them about how they were dragging her husband, who was 70 years old, into the Coliseum. Daisuke then approaches Lina to figure out what was going on. She explains to him that the guards were here to take the owner's husband, who was chilling with a blunt, to participate in the Coliseum match. Hearing this made Daisuke approach the guards to bargain with them, but the guard was adamant about it. He shouts at Daisuke and wonders who the hell he was and explains to him that this was a random selection mandated by Lord Hildert that has been made public. The guard went on to warn the owner that if she refuses, she needed 50 gold or to sell the restaurant. She couldn't believe that choices that was given to her as her face was filled with anger, but the guard tells her to decide immediately. She then realizes that the restaurant could only earn up a single gold coin a month, so there was no way she could 50 gold coins. The guards then grab onto her husband's arms and pulled him away from the others. Seeing her husband being taken away forces the owner to say that she will sell the restaurant, but a voice shouts out, telling the guards that she will go instead. It turns out to be Lina. She stood firm with her sword in her hand. She tells the guards that she was willing to go to the Coliseum in the stead of the owner's husband, but the owner was shocked by her decision as she asks Lina if she understood what she said to the guards. Instead of replying with words, Lina takes out her sword and took a few swings towards the guard, who froze in fear as she points the tip of her blade at him. She tells him dead in the eye that even though she was dressed as a waiter, she was still a knight who was confident in her ability. The guard quickly wipes his sweat away and informs her that there was no problem with her taking the husband's place, but the owner continues to beg Lina that she couldn't do that when all of a sudden, Ashley appears asking Lina if she needed a hand, but in exchange when they win, she would be taking half of the winning prize. Daisuke then appears as well to tell Lina that if she was going then he would too, as he was being true to himself. Lina then turns away from the owner, telling the owner to forgive her as she would be taking a leave from her job. The owner continued to be flustered over their actions and wonders if they were dead serious about it, but Lina looks at her with a confident look on her face, telling the owner that they will try to defeat Dorgon and make Hildert speechless. We now turn to the massive Coliseum where the free-for-all battle will begin. A man stood on a podium and tells the crowd before him that the battle challenge will start and that those who are confident should enter through the participants' entrance. The crowd was made up of various warriors from all around, donning various weapons and armors, but all I see is a bunch of target boards for our boy who uses the power of America. Another man stood amongst the crowd who were watching the match. He announces to everyone that the time that they had been waiting for has arrived, the entrance of the combatants. The gates to the Coliseum soon opened and the crowd of warriors made their entrance. Daisuke and Lina were amongst the warriors and could feel the intense pressure of the crowd and warriors that surrounded them. The crowd began to go wild as they shouted at the warriors to kill one another. The warriors were excited as some of them voiced out that they will be the last man standing. Ashley was among the warriors as well, holding onto her weapon, which was a type of whip. She looked around and sees that these guys were nothing compared to Daisuke. Lord Hildert made his appearance as well, standing above everyone else. He announces to them that they had done well to be gathered in this place as brave warriors. He then shouts at them to fight their way, and whoever stands victorious will be granted 100 gold coins. With his arm raised high into the air, Hildert announces the start of the battle. Trumpets began to blow all around the Coliseum to begin the battle. The warriors gathered soon broke into groups to battle one another. The clashing of metal could be heard all around as Lina tells Daisuke that she was going to leave her rear to him. He hears this and tells her to leave it to him. With their backs against one another, the two of them stood against the warriors of the Coliseum together. The battle rages on as the warriors soon had their eyes on our duo. One of the warriors announces himself as Herabotius III and tells them that he had come here to test his prowess here in the Coliseum. He decides to take on Lina first and tells her to face his invincible blade, but her face showed no fear as she easily sideswiped the bitch with a single swing of her sword. Two other warriors soon came into the fight and proclaimed that they would be the last one standing. Lina sees them coming and chants her prayer. "O sword, grant me thy strength." She gains the strength to battle it each with the warriors as she continues to strike them all down with all her might. As soon as she was done with the pair of them, even more warriors lunged towards her. She then takes a focused stance in the middle of the battle. With a clear eye she unleashes a new skill called Sonic Zapper that sends everyone that got hit by it flying away. The warriors were shocked to see this new power from her as those that got hit stumbled onto the ground. Lina doesn't stop her attacks and continues to charge into the hordes of warriors. They couldn't believe that she was so strong. The warriors soon realized that self-taught no-names like them were no match for her and knew that Lina must have been a trained swordsman. They then decide that the only way they could win against her was to attack her rear where Daisuke was standing. This is why they say never to bring a sword to a gunfight, as our boy simply just shoots the first guy that came close to him without a single warning. The warriors were alarmed to witness what just happened and wondered if he had used magic. But Daisuke was amazed by the Colt that he held. He noted that it has a high caliber but was easy to use. The warriors remained confused by his actions as they couldn't even see Daisuke's attack. Daisuke's weapon of choice this time was the Colt government-issued model. The gun uses the 0.45 ACP rounds instead of the 9mm parabellum ones. He explains that it may have short ranges, but its weight will deliver a heavy shock upon impact. He explains all this while dodging the attacks from the warriors before shooting one of them at point-blank range. He noted that one shot was enough to stop one's movement, but informs all of them that the bullets were all rubber-tipped. The crowd goes wild over Daisuke's actions as they wondered who he was. Daisuke then points his gun towards the remaining warriors, warning them that he would shoot if they come any closer. Harabotius soon recovers from Lena's attack and noted that she was really tough but that he wouldn't let down his guard down next time for sure. But Lena continues to whack the shit out of the various warriors that surrounded her while Daisuke repeatedly fires upon anyone that came close to them. Harabotius could only stare in silence as he watches them dominate the Coliseum match. The innocent villagers who were forced to join the Coliseum match trembled in fear as they huddled together. They knew that it was useless for them to fight as some of them had never even touched a sword in their life before, but an experienced warrior spots them from afar and sees them as easy prey. He walks towards them with a confident demeanor as he looks to kill them. The villagers could only scream out in fear while closing their eyes from their impending doom. But something whacks the living soul out of the warrior and sends him flying backwards. Ashley arrives with her whip in hand, telling the warrior to stop it and warning him that if he dares to lay his hands on them, then she would be his opponent instead. The villager couldn't believe that she had saved her, but it turns out that Ashley knew his name as Ethan. The villager was surprised to learn that as Ashley tells him that she was looking for a man who wore a scarf just like his. The crowd continues to go wild and started shouting to kill and fight some more. The owner of the Restaro had arrived as well and looked around with a worried expression on her face. She came here because she was worried for the kids, but wonders if they were going to be alright. A man appears by her side to inform the crowd to pick their bets. He announces that if there's anyone left who wants to place a bet, now was their last chance. He reveals to the crowd that for the time being, the highest odds are on the guy with the weird clothes and the night girl over there. We return to the battlefield where one of the warrior learns that Lena was quite skilled but considered Daisuke to be the most dangerous as they would be finished even before they could get close to them. But another warrior points out something that he spots. He notices that unlike Lena, Daisuke has been fighting one-on-one without taking anyone down. The other warrior soon notices that it was true and realizes that they might win if they attack Daisuke with their numbers. Their plan went to action as Daisuke spots two attacks coming from both of his sides. He barely manages to dodge the attacks that seem to come from everywhere as the warrior exclaimed with joy that even if he downed one of them, the others would cut him down in return. Daisuke finally manages to get some space between them and noted that their plan was effect while Lena calls them cowards. But our boy ain't a pushover as he places his arm into a portal. The warrior sees this and wonders what was going on now. We return to Ashley, who tells the villagers to run like hell if they came across one of the warriors. She continues to tell them that the last man standing would be the winner, but losing doesn't mean that they have to die either, so it meant that they could end the battle by just laying down and yielding. But the villagers continued to feel doomed as they knew if they lose this fight then they would only be sent back for another battle, which meant that they could never get out of this place. Ashley hears this and couldn't believe that they were still complaining. She tries to convince them that if they make it out alive then they would be able to figure something out. But first was to run away and to cling onto their lives. But as she explains to the villagers, something was happening in the background that causes her to turn around to see what it was. Daisuke could be seen holding a new type of weapon and unleashing the power of America heavily onto the warriors that came close to him. The warriors could only exclaim out loud about what was with that strange-looking hammer as Daisuke reloads his weapon. With more ammo loaded, he points his weapon back and introduces it as the Ingram M10, an American-made submachine gun. He tells them that the submachine gun is a gun that is able to shoot pistol munitions consecutively, and with this M10, in particular compared to assault rifles, was easier to swing around, and it was quite effective in a close combat situation like this. Bang bang went Daisuke as he empties another clip onto the warriors. He continues to tell them that his weapon was basically a machine pistol that was capable of shooting multiple targets at once. The crowd started to cheer loudly after seeing Daisuke defeating so many warriors. Ashley looks at him with awe and noted that he was a really incredible guy. She also knew that if it was him, then it was possible for him to this match. Even Lord Hildert was impressed by Daisuke as he commented that they had a formidable contender this time. He then orders his men to let Dorgan out, but one of them wonders if it was alright to let him out this early. Lord Hildert replies back to his men that to let Dorgan fight with only 1 or 2 men left standing would be a killjoy. The men understood his orders and went on to execute it as Lord Hildert wore a smile on his face. A gate to the match soon opens wide. The warriors in the arena soon notices it was opened. Dorgan didn't waste any time and started to just run out from the gates. His sudden appearance on the battlefield was enough to send various warriors flying everywhere in the air. He enters his Hulk mode and started to smash everything that was in his way. The warriors were alarmed to see that something was charging towards their way and started to run, with a massive stomp onto the ground. Dorgan now appears right before Daisuke. Lena, Ashley and even Daisuke were alarmed to see Dorgan's massive size as he towers over them. The announcer proclaims to the crowd that this was the moment that they had been waiting for, the entrance of the strongest warrior Dorgan. The crowd began to chant his name as he made his appearance. Dorgan lets out a fierce roar in response. He grabs onto 2 warriors with his bare hands and lifted them into the air. The warriors could only scream out for someone to save them. Daisuke sees this and immediately fires onto Dorgan's body, but he was shocked to see that his bullets had done nothing at all. Dorgan then takes a swing towards our boy, but he manages to dodge it. He finds himself back with Lena, who called out to him with concern. He tells her that he was alright, but noted that Dorgan was much more dangerous than he thought. The other warriors were also shocked to witness Dorgan's strength, as no one had told them that he would be this monstrous. Lord Hildert makes another announcement, telling the warriors that if they wanted to grasp their freedom, then there was no other way but to fight. This was the tipping point of the match, as everyone stopped their fights to focus on one being, Dorgan himself. Lord Hildert then wonders who amongst them would be able to defeat the strongest of all warriors.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.